Hey, storytelling Ron here, and Monday morning. I'm trying to get up, having a restful Sunday. But I wanted to start working. I'm working on my D6 conversion for my D20 game system, and I'm finishing up Alfred 6's editing so that we can send it to the editor. Just got a couple more. I got one more big read through to go through. My sister went through it, and she loves it, and I'm happy. Just wasn't sure actually about Alfred 6, but seems like it worked out okay with her. She's very critical of anything and everything I do. I can't seem to be anyway. But once again, I wake up to Democrat hysteria. I'm going to attack Democrats. Democrats are evil. Gotta love them. I love Democrats, but I'm going to get pretty harsh here. And as a Christian, you tell the truth. You tell it obliquely, rudely, obtusely, and you love them. That's loving the enemy. You don't love the enemy. Loving the enemy doesn't mean submit to them. Loving the enemy means telling them the truth, right? Your children, you don't submit to their wackiness. You tell them the truth. You care for them, and then you, as a Christian in Jesus Christ, get a good night's rest. Hating someone, being evil, gnashing your teeth, takes way more energy, right? Look at me. That's me. Here's me loving the enemy. Hating someone takes so much more energy. And it's so vile, and you lose sleep, and you degrade in your health, and you dye your hair, and you become perverse. But loving the enemy is like, they're evil, they're wicked, you gotta love them. My biggest criticism is of us. What are we? God is waiting for the good. What are the good going to do about it? Evil is going to do what evil does. Don't be surprised by that. They murder the unborn. Where do you think their limit? If they're all pro-choice, so what's their limit? If they murder the unborn, they're murdering babies, boys and girls, what do you think their limit is then? They're going to stop at stealing from us generationally, openly, knowingly, amongst each other? They're going to stop at lying to themselves? Okay, so let's this whole thing about the Minnesota shooting, this nurse guy. First off, I'm watching videos of my conservative Christian pundits on YouTube and stuff, in the news, trying to break down what he did, in little videos, little frame by frame. Resisting arrest means you can get shot and killed. Just that right there. If you resist the arrest of a law enforcement, that is the law. If you don't, no, it isn't. Yeah, they're breaking it down. I get it. They're breaking it down so that there's no law enforcement until they decide. If you resist arrest, a policeman can pull out his gun and shoot you. Now, he didn't have to do that. It's too, you can't resist arrest. You can't resist a parking ticket. You cannot resist a parking ticket. If you resist a parking ticket, you can be put to death. Shall surely be put to death. What are laws? If they're not, you must comply. No, I'm gonna pay the fine. Well, that means you didn't resist. All right, if you fully resist a parking ticket, the police will have to shoot you and kill you. That's a law. Every law is like that. That's why Democrats love laws. They love regulations. They love the Chevron, where they have all these different committees that make regulations that you have to comply to, otherwise you'll get killed. Every law is a death sentence if you don't comply to it. The only argument I've had on the left about that is that they eventually comply to the law. Well, I'm going to go to court and fight. Okay, that's you're complying. That's fine. You're not resisting the law. You're not resisting arrest, because when you go to court, it means you've accepted the arrest, whether it's physical or complying with the date. If you resist arrest, that's a death sentence for you, or chances are, if the policeman thinks if the policeman can overly see that he can wrestle you, he may just do that because he doesn't want to shoot anyone. It's ridiculous. The paperwork is ridiculous on that. I'm being somewhat facetious here, but he doesn't know. A police, if it escalates and he can't arrest you, he's got to shoot you. I mean, that's the law. Oh, and here's the patheticness of this. Well, if the person just runs away and they're harmless and they're disarmed, if a person runs away from a policeman who's trying to arrest them, that means you and I can go out and rape freely, because all we gotta do is run away. I can go rape someone, and then when they come confront me, I just turn around, run away. I'm Democrat freedom. Getting shot in the back has nothing to do with legal justice or not. If you resist arrest, you can get shot in the back, in the face, wherever. I don't care. You can't resist arrest. You have your day in court. That's fine. That's we need to fight for that. But if you get arrested, you must comply, because it's the policeman thinks there's danger or you're dangerous, and he has to stop the danger first, stop the bleeding first, and then we go to the rights part. And you have a day in court, but you don't have your day on the street. If Democrats want a day on the street because it's purposeful what they're doing, and I'm going to show you. They're purposely doing this because they're evil, they're wicked. There's no surprise there. But they're pushing this, and they're fighting it because they know the jig is up. They know that they're being exposed. The Democrat leaders are being exposed for all their grift, the corruption. They're their generational wealth theft. Their theft of generational wealth. They're stealing our wealth. They're shifting money via digits into their coffers, into their minions, their Muslim minions, their Islamo-Marxists. They're moving money, millions and billions of dollars, into it because they have the power. The church is low enough now, percentage-wise, in the political sphere and in the community, so that the paganism of theft can happen. Thou shalt not steal is not a rule that they follow, and if you can get enough people to not have that rule, it's gonna be this operation of theft. And that's what's happening across Democrat states. In red states, there's enough Christians there to watch the other Christians and the non-Christians and expose it, and hey, I think this is wrong. But in the blue states, they're all in on it. They're all lying to themselves. Well, we gotta steal from them because they're white supremacists and fascists, so we gotta steal their money. So that's what's happening across the blue states. There's so many, here in LA. There's millions, and people are stealing money through the government. See, that's why we want a small government, because government can't handle the corruption. The corruption just permeates government. Charity and helping others, homeless or whatever, has to be full on 100% charity, not government. Because that way, if it's full on 100% charity, everyone has to be careful about how they operate, because if they get caught, exposed as corrupt, then the charity is going to be broken down. And there has to be an actual intent of the charity. The state has taken over charity purposely to get rid of Christians, because they know the only people who can do charity effectively are Christians. And I've just read in Dominion, written by Tom Holland, and I only read a little bit past that, because once I read that, I was like satisfied, but I want to keep reading it. But he talks about how the Roman Caesars were pissed off, and this is like from the letter of a Roman Caesar, that he was pissed off because the pagan temples were in disrepair and decay and empty, that he loved, because all the people were converting to Christianity because of the charity and joy and family and non-perversity. And the pagan priests were all trans drag queens. They were all drag queens at the bars, drunk, partying. That's what he said then. No correlation or comparison today, huh? The same sinners, the same everything. And so today, what the pagans know is the grift of state, separation of state and church, is a lie. They're taking everything from the church, including charity. Churches here in LA can't do anything. We can't run homeless charities. We can't go out. We can't give food to the homeless. I mean, everything's so regulated. I know there's a group in the Catholic Church near our church that does a big homeless sort of feeding thing. So there is one, but it's minuscule compared to what the government does, right? The state is taking over on a vast scale, so the churches don't even do it anymore. We don't know how to handle the homeless, because if we do, we get sued by the homeless and the lawyers, by the regulations. There's so many regulations that it's overwhelming that the pastors can't handle it. We churches can't handle it because of the Democrats, and they know it. So they purposely have taken away charity from us. And the state running charities is a grift. It's corrupt, and the Democrats know it, and they love it, and it's a free for all. It's money, cookie in the jar, whatever. That they're getting money out of it. They're getting rich, and the journalists are all Democrats, so they are fine with it. They worship it. And whenever I speak on it on Nextdoor or in social media, I get it surrounded by by shills, minions I know they have an army of shills, whether it's Chinese operation or whatever, but they're supporting all the Democrat things, and they constantly just attack and use those platitudes, those just those, you know, just common insults, common racist, you know, fascist, putting the illegals and the homeless above hardworking people who are trying to raise a family and do things and work hard and as a normal job and not have a grift and not steal and take but they have a minion of these shills everywhere on X. Oh my god, they're everywhere on X, and on Nextdoor they're just attacking and constantly saying how the homeless they need more government. We need more government. That's the solution. I'm a liar and a racist and a hypocrite or whatever, but they need more government, more money to solve the homeless. They don't need. It's not about following the laws. If you made it illegal, it's. Why is it illegal to camp on sidewalks? Why is that legal? Why do they have all these tents? They have all like the same tents as if they're being issued out. You know, why do they allow that to happen? That is such a grift. It's so pathetic here in LA. This place is disgusting, just so you know. This Democrat utopia, there's human shit on every block. I'm sorry, I gotta say that word. Human feces on every block. I walk my dog. There's human feces here in Hollywood, California, on every block. The stores are closing down. The pastor and I are walking on Hollywood Boulevard, and the Musicians Institute is closed down. It was there for, you know, he was like, oh, because he's a guitar player, and they used to kind of know a few people at the Musicians Institute. And he looked up, oh, there's no signs left. It's gone. It's, you know, I'm like, yeah, it's empty, man. It's gone. They're gone. And it was a big part of Hollywood Boulevard. Things are closing down around here, left and right, just closing. Big buildings are going up, which obviously were started, you know, 10, 15 years ago. It takes forever to pay off Democrats just to get a building here. But they're empty. Like, we have some now that are across the street here on Sunset. They're all empty. It's, and then the studios are all empty. And they're all voting Democrat. Palisades burnt down. The people there, 10,000 homes or whatever burnt down, or whatever it was. They're all voting Democrat. And there's a couple of people that are fighting it, right, that are really loud and vociferous against Gavin Newsom and Bass, but they won't support a Republican. Like, they won't. I'm going to be a mayor. Well, you're just diluting the votes or whatever. Diluting, you're just diluting, right? Diluting the votes. Like, why don't you guys join up with a Republican? Because Republicans have been fighting this forever. And I'm not a Republican shill. I'm like, there's only two sides, good and evil. And the good has been Republican-ish and the GOP. And we need to go into at least one organized establishment to refine and join forces. And obviously the Republicans are the only one. Now here in LA, the Republicans they got the log cabin gay Republicans, which are like, and I've gone to a couple of the meetings and I could tell they were promoting the log cabin Republicans. I'm like, what? I don't want this gay. These homosexuals are supporting us. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if they're supporting us or not supporting us. What are we doing? And I do want a prayer, and I want Jesus Christ in this story. But the Republicans here were really weird to me. They were very highfalutin, but secular. And then, of course, pushing and then reminding us that they're log cabin Republicans, which kind of, log cabin is a little weird term for me. The hell does that mean, log cabin? Republicans are supporting and stuff. We're going to go to the log cabin meeting, and they're with us, and I'm like, well, what about the Christians? What about the churches? What about the Christians that actually started the GOP? The Grand Old Party was started by the abolitionists, and they were all Christian, and it was about fighting slavery. And they came up after the Whigs were pummeled and beaten down by the Democrat Party for slavery. How hard and remember when the Republicans came to power under Abraham Lincoln, they were like 1/3 the vote. 1/3. So 2/3 of America wanted slavery and were Democrat. The Northern Democrats and the Southern Democrats. And in their hubris, that was the only reason they had two candidates. They actually split. And so Abraham Lincoln was able to win because the 1/3 GOP was able to, keep their votes all together, whereas the Democrats split their votes. And so Abraham Lincoln was in, and he took a Democrat vice president, which is because he was trying to appease the Democrats, how powerful they were. So we were never, as Republicans and as the good in America, we were Always outnumbered by the evil. That's right, Democrats, you're evil. You're going to hell. It's my Ron view of that. I'm not God, so I'm not vengeance. Not vengeance. I'm just trying to be a messenger, and I'm just looking clearly at you. You're voting for murdering of babies. Ergo, now there's wonderfully and to the glory of God, there are the Russell Brand stories. Russell Brand was that British comedian with that snide, snarky, and now he's like this amazing Christian struggling, and he went through all the spiritualisms levels, and now he's a Christian, and he's being accused of rape over and over and over now. They never accused him of rape back when he was actually in that power circle in Hollywood when all that happened, supposedly. But now that he's a Christian, a vociferous or an outspoken Christian, making headlines against the powers that be, suddenly women are coming out saying he raped them. Pretty amazing, man. All the glory to God. So let's get to the stuff I was going to show you as well. I really was just wanting to wake up and work on. Now I'm working on something for the kingdom of God. This because I love it, and it's just what I love to do. And then I'm working at the church. I'm really busy at the church now. It's really wonderful. I'm gonna get a game group going. I'm gonna go do some smash burgers with the pastor's kids, and then play the game with them. I'm really excited about that. We're figuring out the logistics of that. My wife's gonna become a member now, so I'm gonna get 2 votes on everything. On that, I'm like, I don't know if you should be a member, honey, because she's busy, and I want to wait till she retires and then become a member. But then I was like, oh yeah, I get 2 votes. Oh yeah. We're gonna do some stuff, And I've been playing a ukulele, and I've never been a musical person. You're not gonna be able to hear it because the mic doesn't pick it up. I've been trying to play it to my nieces over Minecraft, but they won't pick this up for some reason. I gotta figure that out. But anyway, this is the Martin OX. It's like I call it my Johnny Cash ukulele. I don't even know if you can hear it, but I've never played a musical instrument before. And here I am at church, and I'm learning How Great Thou Art, and I'm singing better, and I can hear it now. That I love I was doing the other night. My wife and I were doing our wine drinking karaoke night because I'm trying to get some new songs going, like some Neil Diamond songs, and Neil Diamond, the best Christian of all. No, kidding. But I love his songs. The whole Song Blue. I was into that before. Okay. Anyway, just so you know. Anyway, we went to the Neil Diamond musical on Pantages. That was fun. That was cool. We walked all the way down Hollywood Boulevard all night. Stopped off at all the bars. Went to the Neil Diamond show. It was fun. We had such a great time. Then we walked back. Went to the goth club because I was like, let's go. Because it was like, oh wait a minute, that's right. It's opening tonight, and it's 10 o'clock, and we got out of the show. We went to the goth club, hung out for a couple hours there, and then we walked back home. That was a great night. Anyway, what was I saying? I'm talking about evil, right? So I've been playing this. I love it. I just love strumming it. I'm like, I should get a big guitar so I look more like a man, But I love the humbleness of these little guys, and playing the simplistic sort of things, and then doing the singing. And I'm getting better at my singing. I'm doing How Great Thou Art, Amazing Grace, Go Tell It on the Mountain. But then I'm doing like House of the Rising Sun, Hallelujah. I'm doing some Neil Diamonds now that are really good. But karaoke. So we were doing karaoke the other night because I wanted to get some new songs and work on them before I started playing them, just to get more of this. But I noticed too, my wife and I I can't sing karaoke anymore. Like I don't like it. Like I'm too like, I want to keep trying to figure that out and bring my voice mellow, because I try too hard. But on this, I notice when I do it, it's much smoother. When I'm working this and singing, it's much better. Like, anyway, it's kind of interesting, really joyful, just playing music and things and working on that, just like 10-15 minutes a day. And it's analog, so it's not digital, which is really nice, to have that's all precarious. Precarious with my little ukulele, Martin 01X or something like that. It's really nice. All right, so let's get to the non-joyful stuff, or it's joyful. The pastor and I were talking about, the group that, there's here in Hollywood, there's so many progressive churches now. They're all being corrupted. It's in the Bible. It's in the New Testament. It's going to happen. And I'm like, even though it's frustrating, and the gays have taken all the really nice churches too, all the incredible tall steeple gothic looking ones. They've taken them over. the gays. And I got to be very open about my criticism, rebuking, my rebuking. I got to be open about it, and again, in love, I got to rebuke. I don't. And here's the thing about that. We're not angry that they're taking over the churches. We're not angry because there's going to be a lot of false Christians, and they got somewhere. They need somewhere to go. I'd rather them go there than go to our church and corrupt it. Our church is very strong in the word and very humble, and they're not even as truculent as I am, but they're good and still believe in the same things, just not as as me. But that's okay. They're starting to get me. Oh, it's Ron, But I'm getting refined by them too. I'm learning to not be so truculent. I'm learning not to be so and be a little more in love with it all. So anyway, let's move over to this. So this is the Democrat. This is what's going on in Minneapolis. This is what's going on right now, and I'm seeing this on YouTube, and we'll get to a few headlines. But I'm seeing some sort of moderates and libertarians, I guess, through some of the headlines that I'm coming across, where they're Joe Rogan, where they're criticizing ICE. They're dogging ICE and dogging the right now because they were sort of building up the support of Trump and the Republicans. But this scene is in The Dark Knight. Remember, where they're in a press conference, and this woman here, she says, he's saying we gotta. I should just play it, but I'm not gonna play it. But she's all, there's too much danger. They're all scared because the Joker is coming out now and fighting the Batman, right? And this is a great scene. I love the scene because it shows the press here doesn't like Batman. They're all, we're not safe anymore. And he's trying to look, we need to, it's darkest right before the day, right? When you confront evil, it's darkest right before the day, and it's going to get harder. And they're all they want to give up. They want to arrest Batman. They don't care about the Joker. They're like, the Joker, the terrorist. So and this scene's awesome because it's making us all see that when good confronts evil, evil is going to respond with more evil. Surprise! But it's the people that cower because of that, or that find excuses, or we're not safe now because because good is confronting evil, and evil is making it's fighting back. Ooh, what a surprise there! See, I'm of good, and I'm not surprised by evil being evil. Why are we ever surprised about evil being evil? Yet we are, because there's so many cowards that are wanting to give up. Joe Rogan wants to give up, or I'm not saying Joe Rogan, blaming Joe Rogan, but I got a little headline there that he wants to get, he's criticizing ICE, and I'm like, ICE would not have this problem, but the Democrats are causing it on purpose. They're not helping ICE. If they would have helped ICE, this would be all silent. If the local police would help, and Democrats would help ICE, this would be quiet. But they're not, and they're purposely not. They want death and human sacrifice. They want this confrontation. They're evil. They want to confront the good, and then they want this. They want cowards. They want cowards here in the media to give up. So she's complaining, and there's another guy in the crowd that complains, "We're not safe anymore," because the Batman confronts the evil responds with more evil, and they don't like that. Oh no. That's the problem, and this is the problem throughout history. I've been reading this. I'm reading right now, about the Templar, the Hospitallers, the Order of Saint John, and how they're trying to fight Islam, but they won't get any help, and there's always 500 knights and 3,000 locals, and then the Islam is always 30, 40, 50,000 a slave army coming into Europe, and the knights are always outnumbered and always being whittled away at, and they always call for help from the rest of Christendom, and Christendom is all infighting Catholics and Protestants, and they're they look at more valuable assets and not at the frontier where the Templars and the Order, the Hospitallers, are doing what they can. And the whole today they're all there's so much gnashing of teeth over Templars, but nothing over the horrific jihad terrorism of the Ottoman Empire, of the Janissaries who are taking Christian boys at a young age by Muslims, and then turned into these murderous bastards, basically. So this is an amazing scene in The Dark Knight. They want to give up. They don't want to fight the Joker. They rather his evil continue because it's just too much when good confronts evil for them. So they're becoming cowards, and that's all I can say about that. Or I can. So I'm just looking at this, and here's my little feed, and they got. There's just fighting about Chaz is back, so they're starting another Chaz thing here. And here this changes everything. I'll probably watch that at some point. But there's a couple of things here. But it's just coming. More and more stuff's happening. More and more. People are wanting to give up. They don't hear how the Trump administration is reacting to Border Patrol killing Alex. And Tim Waltz is going to fight this. They got a little funeral. Oh, look at this nice picture of Alex Prati or whatever his name is. If you go to where law enforcement is and you have a gun, or if you resist arrest, you should get killed. I mean, you should get shot. You should get. If I resist arrest, they should shoot me. What else can they do? I'm big. I can fight them. I have a gun. That's even scarier. I'm not trying to. I don't want this person to die. I don't want anyone to die. But if you're going to go to where law enforcement is trying to do what they do, and you're going to harass them, you think you're protecting people. They have their day in court. You need to, if you want to fight for something, make sure that there's a court that they get to have their day. But by the way, if you lose the court, you can't just keep fighting, right? If they find this person's illegal, they're not here illegally. That's it. There's no why they're gonna keep. Evil's gonna keep fighting, and then we have this. We have people that want to just give up and I am not the Jane Good or whatever her name is, and this Alex guy dying. It's not our fault. It's not the ISIS fault. It's the Democrats' fault for telling them to go there, and you can't impede law enforcement. That's illegal. Right there, done. There's no playback on the video. If you're impeding law enforcement and they're going to come and arrest you, which they did both these times, they were trying to arrest this person and then they resisted arrest. That's right there is lethal force is allowed. I know the Democrats have whittled that down, whittled away at that. You can't kill someone because they resist arrest. I get it, but that's bull crap. What else can they do? A policeman literally has to determine within seconds if something turns lethal or not, so that they can then respond. Saying I'm going to arrest you is really a very clear-cut way, and say it three to five times very loudly so the person can hear it. But that's a very clear and distinct way of keeping everyone safe. When you're taught that if a policeman is going to arrest you, you comply because you have your day in court. You have your day in court. If the policeman arrests you, it only takes a few minutes, as opposed to some brutal fighting that you get to do. You get to do brutal fighting because the policeman cannot go lethal until it's that split second of where he can even determine that, which is he's getting beat up or pummeled, or shot, or run over. That's ridiculous. That's absurd. When a policeman says, "I'm going to arrest you," that should be the point of no return. But no, the Democrats don't want that. They want it to be that. Within a scuffle, within a violent kerfuffle, they want to you still gotta. We're gonna still adjudicate that. We're still gonna decide based on agenda, and that's and we on the right should not be accepting that at all. So let me go to some more headlines. ICE drags citizen in the snow in his underwear, but there's more to the story, of course. Top police liaison resigns days after unhinged Democrat AG Chris Mays justifies shooting ICE agents. So she's justifying that. She's an AG of Arizona. Tim Waltz is purposely, and Bill Clinton here throws gasoline on the fire, attacks Trump administration after a fatal ICE-involved shooting of armed men in Minneapolis. Chairman Comer blasts Minnesota Democrat lawmakers for anti-ICE chaos. Tim Waltz compares ICE raids to Nazi arresting Anne Frank. So this is done on purpose. They're purposely doing this. They've got to stop Republicans from investigating them. Tim Waltz is a fraud. He's stolen. He's purposely stolen. There's even, I don't see it in here, but they've discovered through it got refreshed, but a conservative person found through their news network or their Let me see if it's no, it's not there. I think it's here somewhere. That they are talking about impeding ICE, like Tim Walz is. Virginia Democrats, who have, like, they've retaken Virginia, the Democrats, push bill to eliminate mandatory minimum sentences for rape. Virginia Democrats push bill to eliminate mandatory minimum sentences for rape, manslaughter, child pornography, and other violent crimes. So there used to be a mandatory minimum sentence. Now the Democrats, nope, they want to make that about niceties, being nice about child pornography and rape and manslaughter. So they want to loosen that one up. There's one here. Natalie Portman denounces brave ICE agents as worst of the worst of humanity. Okay, well, she sucks. It's time to invoke the Insurrection Act. I agree with. I actually agree with that. They're openly saying kill federal agents. They're openly wanting their people, their minions, to kill, because they want danger. They want danger, and they want this. They want Alex and Good to be human sacrifices for their agenda. They want to push their agenda, and the way they do that is to get people out there constantly whistleblowing. It should be illegal to even harass a federal agent. You can't go whistleblow around a federal agent. You can't go whistleblow the neighborhood so that they're aware of those federal agents. That right there is arrest. So I'm a little upset that the right is not fighting a little harder. You know, of course, I'm sitting here comfortably at home, so I take that one. But I just for my own little excuse here, my own feeble attempt at this, I'm still trying to do this. I did go to Republican meetings, and I found them to be to be weak. I went to a couple, and I found them to be very weak, and I was frustrated, and I didn't know what to do. And I went to a couple local Hollywood community meetings to deal with the homeless problem, and I just said outright to the group, I said, look, I want to help, but I want to know, are we going to support a Republican candidate? Because the Democrats they're not, they're like talking around in circles about how to solve it. And I'm like, it's not going to be solved if we still have the same party. And I said this 4 or 5 years ago, or whatever, 3 or 4 years when I went to the meeting, and they all were silent when I said that. And I'm just waiting for someone to come, And one guy said, oh, we don't want to, they don't like women's health. I'm like, well. And then he brought up a couple of stupid conspiracies. I'm like, well, or some, I don't know, something about Rudy Giuliani. I said, well, Rudy Giuliani really claimed New York. He goes, oh no, he sent out all the homeless to other cities, so yeah, he's a liar. I'm like, what? I was just devastated. This little neighborhood group wants to solve the homeless problem, but they want to vote for more Democrats. Like, I even have a neighborhood group that's sort of watching crime, but it's like they're just trying to patch up wounds with band-aids. I'm waiting for them to say we got to get a new politician. We need to do Republican. And I don't mean, again, I'm not like a card-carrying Republican, but the Democrats are completely sold out to death and tyranny and Islamo-Marxism. Completely. Republicans, at least we got like a chance, Okay, so let me go back to this. I just going through headlines here. Levitt torches Walz has spread malicious lies about federal law enforcement officers. Tim compares ICE to Nazis. Obama urges more street protests. Because even Obama knows he's getting under investigation of all the things he's done. They have stolen the wealth. Ilhan Omar, that's came up recently in the news. She started with like, her and her husband were like had $30,000 or something like that, or in debt $30,000, something like that. That's about their wealth. Today they have 30 million, and that's over just a couple of years. 30 million. The husband has a 30 million worth of assets. Her husband does, and now they have they're 30 million. My wife and I have been struggling for the last few years, keeping our wealth, but keeping it within this range, and we could never grow it because we kept getting hit by all these cutbacks and layoffs in the fashion industry, and just having to survive, thankfully staying at the same, but we couldn't grow it. But look at these Democrats, just from 50,000 to 30 million in the same time period as my wife and I, barely hanging on to our wealth. Wow. They had 50,000, and she makes less money than my wife. Ilhan Omar makes less money than my wife, and the husband, Nancy Pelosi and her family, the Democrats just. Here's the thing: when Republicans come into office, they're rich, they're millionaires, the representatives or whatever. And so I guess some of them get rich when they get here. That's wrong. That's wrong. I like they get 10 million more at the end of their whatever. But Democrats come in poor. They come in like this is it. This is their thing, and then they get 10 million, 20 million, 30 million all of a sudden. They come in at that low wage or whatever they're doing, community service or whatever, and then boom, suddenly they become multimillionaires. Even though, but remember the salaries of a representative is like 180,000 or whatever. That's not a multimillionaire. You can't make that be a multimillionaire in a few years off of that salary. So I'm just, the headlines here is all about the shootings. Minneapolis police, this is what I really get to. Chief, doesn't matter if shooting legally justified. He says that they're angry. So it doesn't matter if the truth is the truth. We're sick of this. We want it to stop. It's not safe anymore. They're causing it. They're purposely causing it. The Minneapolis police could shut this down right now and not get anyone else hurt. But he won't do it. He won't do it because he wants death. He wants that human sacrifice for their agenda. They're in on the take, and they got to keep this up, the violence and the human sacrifice, so that this witch here can threaten ICE. Democrats can threaten ICE. Obama can threaten ICE. He's desperate. He's got to make Trump fail. Tim Walz has got to make Trump fail. They have got to. They have no choice. They have to do it because they're being investigated. Trump flooding the street with agents, shooting Americans in cold blood. See, that right there is an illegal statement. I think that should be immediately for jail. Cold blood. These people are constantly harassing law enforcement. They're blowing their whistles. They're driving their cars around them. That's illegal. You can't do that. You can't harass law enforcement. Can I go out right now in Hollywood and take a whistle and follow cops around and blow my whistle in their faces? I mean, is that even acceptable? That's what they're doing. And there's 10, 20, 30 of them organized. Right there is illegal. So we need to fight that. We need to arrest them like almost immediately. As soon as they show up, just arrest them. If there are people following you, I think I should just arrest them. I think we should just arrest a ton of them. I think too, they're the ones that are like going for the extreme. I think they're being told this. Go ahead and go extreme with the federal agents. Like get totally violent, risk it, because if you get arrested, then when we get a Democrat president there, we're going to, give you whatever it's called. I forgot when the president does the amnesty or freeze people. They're going to do that. Well, my brain. He's going to do that. So they're telling them, go ahead. I bet you this is what they're saying. The NGOs and the Soros funded or whoever. It doesn't have to be Soros. It can be anybody in the Democrats. They're telling them, go ahead and go violent, go dangerous, and if you get arrested, don't worry, we're going to get you out. When we get a Democrat president, because if it's a federal agents arresting them, then it's a federal law. So the president has the power of doing the what they're called. What Biden did. I know you guys know, and I'm put in the comments. You guys, if you're watching, you got to make comments supposedly so I can get this out further. Although I do long babbling winded videos. No, Waltz and Frey have not expressed any concern over injuries to federal officers. They can't. They have to fight it, stop it, because they're in on the grift. They've got to ruin Trump, because if they ruin Trump, then they can come after us. Because remember, they're after us. They're after our freedom as Christians in the church. They hate Jesus Christ. They love Islam. They love anything that doesn't smell of Jesus. And Jesus, the success of the church is in Europe. It's failing now, but the success over the generations was in Europe, and that's where all the white people. The church failed in the Middle East. It failed in Africa, so there's no generational Christianity there. Thusly, they have to attack the whites. All right, I'll try to finish here with some word of God here. There are 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him. Proverbs 6. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood. Obviously, the left is going to say, "Oh, that's the ICE," but the ICE are law enforcement. They're in their uniforms. They're doing a job. They're not Alex or Jane or whatever her name is, good, running around with their haughty eyes, lying tongues, and hands that shed innocent blood. They're the ones shedding their own innocent blood, or they're not even innocent blood. They're the hands that shed innocent blood is people who go after people that just aren't involved in anything. They're just walking around. The Democrats do that to the unborn. You know that the in the Bible, let's put two and two together here. Jesus says everyone is guilty, or we're born sinners. So in the unborn are innocent in the womb. They're innocent. They haven't had yet time. Hands that shed innocent blood. I think it's talking about abortion here. A heart that devises wicked schemes. We're not devising wicked schemes. Trump said he was going to do this. We all voted overwhelmingly for it, and now we're implementing it. That's not a wicked scheme. The wicked scheme is, let's not help them. Let's subvert the law. Let's undermine the federal authority. Let's attack them. Let's use a forked tongue to get our people to go out and break the law and impede them, and then hopefully someone will die, and then we can give that to the media, and they will shoot us out, and all the cowards out there, all the cowards will do this. We don't want it anymore. We don't want to do this anymore. We don't want to, help. We don't want to do this. It's too hard. And all these people, we don't, we gotta stop Batman. Well, what about Joker? No, we gotta stop Batman. Batman is the problem. We gotta, we don't want this. We don't want to fight evil. We want to let evil keep doing evil. Feet that run swiftly to evil. So the left, the Democrats will do that. They're going to run to evil because they're too afraid. A false witness who gives false testimony. They're constantly slandering us, constantly gnashing their teeth at us, constantly blaming us for their things they're causing, and they know it. They know they're causing it. But it's in their hearts. That's why I'm a Calvinist or a tulip or a Reformed Baptist, whatever. God made good and God made evil, and I'm sticking with it because God is sovereign. There's no asterisk in sovereign. Okay, you don't spell sovereign S-O-V-E sovereign S-O-V-E-R-E-I-G-N asterisk. There's no asterisk. God chooses who's saved and who isn't, and I'm sticking with it because that's what I'm reading. Yes, he loves the wicked. He does. Like I love the wicked. They're wicked. He loves them. Gotta love them. When I write my stories and create villains, I love I love them in that sense of you have a child who becomes a drug dealer, you still love them, even though they're evil and they're a drug dealer or a murderer. You still love them, but they're evil, and you gotta punish them, right? When you punish someone, you still love them, and that's what God's doing. He created wicked people. That's what he did, because he's sovereign. No asterisk. That's how you spell it. Sovereign, N-O, asterisk. No asterisk. Okay. So, one who stirs up discord among brothers. The left is doing all this. A false witness who gives false testimony. Oh, if Alex was innocent, he didn't do anything. They shot him cold-blooded. That's a lie. They did not shoot him cold-blooded. They were struggling to get him to stop, get him to stop, please stop. And they pulled his gun out from one end, and the other end he's trying to pull something else out. I don't care. He resisted arrest. You don't resist arrest. If something is wrong, you go to the politicians. You don't go to the law enforcement. A law enforcement is on the boots on the ground. They're just doing what they're told. They're following the laws that are on the books. If you want to change the laws, change the laws. But you don't go out to police and harass them. The only time you confront police is if they're blocking you in front of a politician that you're trying to address. And but then the police wouldn't bother you if you're nonviolent. You can peacefully assemble and protest, but you can't do it violently. You can't resist arrest. Resisting arrest is violence because they're trying to stop you from whatever they deem as being a violent or impeding thing. And you can have your day in court and sue or countersue or whatever, but you cannot go do it on the street. Period. Cannot means lawfully, legally, you will be shot. If the Democrats have watered that down, then phooey on you, that's ridiculous. Because that means chaos. That means you and I can go out there and do this thing where we're doing a dance with the police, and we're doing a violent dance to see who comes out, who lives, and who gets $1 million from an injury, and who gets the presidential pardon. There we go. Presidential pardon, because that's what they're doing. They're saying, don't worry, if you get arrested by federal agents, you can get pardoned later, just like the J6ers. So don't worry about it. You're good. We're gonna get you. It's gonna be hilarious when, I pray that we'll get the next Republican president, and all these people in jail are like, oh, and the NGO's like, oh, don't, no response. Okay, let's move on to the 10 Commandments. Whew. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. So he's reminding them that they freed them from slavery. You shall have no other gods before me. So I love this. He doesn't tell them you have to worship me. He says you're not gonna, if you're not gonna worship me, you're not gonna worship other gods, right? He doesn't say you have to worship me. I mean, I'm assuming he does somewhere, but the commandments, the number one command is you don't have to worship me. That's what he's saying. But it implies you do, but he doesn't say it outright, right? You have to make that correlation. But the main one is he's testing you. He's saying if you're not going to worship me, you can't worship anything else. But in the end, you're going to worship something. Obama, your lies, your murdering of babies. You're going to worship that, even though you see the destruction around you in your city as the Democrats continually corrupt and steal and grift and throw law after law after law. And then free up all the criminals and the homeless. You're worshiping something. If you're going to see that and let that happen and you vote for Democrats, you're definitely worshiping something, and it ain't God. You shall not make for yourself an idol in the form of anything. We double emphasize this. Okay. You should not bow down to them, worship them. He really, so he's definitely getting into that. Okay. Next, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not leave anyone unpunished who takes his name in vain. So I love this one because it's not just about blaspheming the Lord, although that's obviously important. And you notice too that in Hollywood they write, and I was part of this. I was writing scripts when I was in the CG. I was at Blur Studios, Blizzard. I worked over those places, but I was writing scripts all the time, and I was always putting "God damn it, Jesus fucking Christ," in the characters and they're fighting and stuff. And it was so like I had to do it. It was so part of it. Now as a Christian, I'm like, dang, that was weird because we Christians don't blaspheme the Lord like that so readily. And I notice it now more every time when someone does it, and it's so annoying. And before I was like, yeah, this is the way we speak, but it's the way we speak because we purposely write it in our scripts. And in the movies, in Hollywood, the Jews, I'm gonna give the Jews a hard time here, but they were writing this, God damn it, motherfucker, God, motherfucker, Jesus Christ. They're writing it in the scripts so that everyone does it and thinks that's the norm. It's not the norm. It's Hollywood induced. It's brainwashing you. You're brainwashed. If you blaspheme God, you've been brainwashed. If you say Jesus Christ, Jesus fucking Christ, or God damn it, you've been brainwashed by Hollywood. So you've been brainwashed. You've been manipulated. But okay, another point of that is, you should not take the Lord's name. So this right here is also about not swearing and it's also when you follow this rule of not blaspheming the Lord, it carries over to your life. So you don't want to blaspheme. You want to respect anybody. You don't want to blaspheme others. You don't want to curse around kids. You actually want to be polite. This actually, if you respect God, you're going to respect people. And this is really teaching us. And this is a commandment. He's only given us 10 commandments. Think about it. And we fail all of them. But he's like literally, he wants us to be nice. If you don't blaspheme the God, you're going to be careful and considerate of others, even their religions, their false, you don't care to blaspheme other people's religions either. You care to address them and tell them they're wrong and blah blah blah. But you don't care to like start saying "f you" all the time. If you notice in all those all the protests in Minneapolis and ICE, the videos they're all taking, they all can't stop saying "f you" or "what the f," "what the f." The videos we just call those the F, "what the f" videos because they what the fuck, what you shot on, what the fuck, 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 what the fuck. They just keep going on and on. Like, yeah, well, he resisted arrest. He's trying to pull out. What? You resisted arrest. Stop right there. Okay. Remember the Sabbath day, keeping it holy. Okay, this one is awesome. Remember the Sabbath. So these 4 here are about God, by the way, and us. It's about us and God too. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day. And it's what's funny is I like to work Monday to Saturday. I'm kind of surprised. Like I always thought Monday to Friday, and then I'm off. But actually, if you enjoy your work, I actually get up Saturday morning. I'm like, ooh, this is a free day. No one's bothering me. I don't have anything to do. I'm going to get back to work. I do kind of a 3/4 of a day kind of work. And then I go out and do some yard work or play with my nieces or whatever. But I like to actually work Saturday too. And then Sunday, I'm like, I'm playing, doing something silly, watching a game. I'm going to a movie. I'm going to eat junk food, whatever it is. I don't want to do it. Even at church, we have 2 services. I'm like, I'm only doing 1 service. I'm worshiping God, but I got to rest. But I worship God all week because I'm serving, doing all this stuff. But they have 2 services and 2 different services, and I could go to both. But I tell the pastor, I'm not going. Even though I work with them all week, I'm not going to the second service. I just can't sit there, for, I can do things. I want to do things, but I can't sit there for an hour listening to a lecture, which is a sermon's a lecture in the Protestant church about stuff in the God. And I love the Word of God, but I just can't sit there. I want to do something. But Sundays I'm just very mentally dead. Remember the Sabbath. Okay, so here's what's cool about this though. If you, masters and slaves, masters cannot give their slaves a day off, because if they give their slaves a day off, that gives them joy, hope, independence, agency. So masters can't do that. So this law is totally like, you labor 6 days and you take a day off. See, like the Pharaoh and with the Jews, you couldn't stand, they got a day off. And this actually is very insulting to dictators, right? Because if you get a day off to worship God and to relax, they can't do that. So this is really an insidious command. I mean, it's God is playing both angles here. So this is like, not only does this say worship God, but it also hurts dictators. Okay. And thusly this one here becomes a you want to be a Christian, you want to be a Jew, you want to serve the Lord, but then you have to go out and slave away at whatever you're doing, but you need a day off because it's a commandment. And so that right there, it hurts slavery, like impedes on the ability to enslave Christians and Jews. And so God doesn't even say anything about slavery, but this is about slavery, because slavery is 7 days a week, right? And this is like not. And so in America, they gave the slaves the Sunday off because the freaking Democrats are evil. But anyway, they gave them a day off. But that grew their culture. It grew their music. It grew their worship of God. It grew their growth. And so when the time came for their freedom, they had something to hold on to and build up until the Democrats bottom out again. All right, honor your father and mother so that your days may be long in the land the Lord God is giving you. So honor your father and mother is and committing you should not commit adultery. Those two are family. So we got 4 on God, 2 on family, and then 4 on society. Honor your father and mother insults the LGBTQ and the gays and the perverse, because husband and wife. And also though, it's about if you honor your father and mother, you're honoring marriage. You're honoring, as a man, I have to honor fatherhood. As a mother, I have to honor. It's not just that I'm a father and I should be honored. I, as a father, need to honor fatherhood. Honor your father. I need to honor family. This is insulting to communists, to Marxists, to even to Islam. Islam is a harem. Women are a harem. They're breeders. They're handmaid's tale. But in Christianity, father and mother, one husband, one wife, one father, one mother, together, right? And children. That's, if you honor your father and mother, you respect the children. You have to honor the children, right? Because the father and mother want their children to be honored as well, or taken care of. And so in Christianity, we hold to a family as important. Not to the government, not to Marxism, not to Islam, not to a harem of women. You should not commit adultery. Adultery is sex outside of a marriage. So that hurts the LGBT, the trans, the gays. They hate this. So this covers everything. It's amazing how those 2 lines cover everything. It's so succinct. Like these words mean 100 things, and they cover all of them completely. It's just amazing to me. You shall not murder. You shall not steal. So murder, it's not you shall not kill. It's you shall not murder. Murder is very important, because killing, for justice, for judicious or whatever. But murder is the killing of an innocent, right? So God, the God we worship, doesn't want us to murder people. And Alex and Good were not innocent. They were killed under a law, a lawful precedence. You shall not murder is about killing people innocently, going after people who don't deserve it, who are just trying to run their store, trying to be born. Someone trying to be born gets killed is evil, pure evil. You gotta love them. You gotta love Democrats, even though they're pure evil. They got the penultimate comeuppance coming, and I will say that even of close family members. I still love them. But penultimate comeuppance is coming, and been warned. I want to warn again. Actually, I hope to do that soon. Again, just a reminder, because we're getting older. You shall not steal. That's a wonderful. You shall not steal, and you shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his manservant, or maidservant, or slaves, or his ox, or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. That's communism. You shall not steal is obviously criminal. You shall not covet is communism, where you create a system of being able to take people's property. So God wants you to own your property. He wants you to own your land, your family, your wife, your children, and the wife owns you, your slaves. Now, back then they had slaves, but it was all voluntary. So if it's voluntary, it's a manservant and a maidservant because they do contracts. The Jews had contracts with them, so there was never a forced slavery. But plenty of pagans would sell their children, which I look at it as adoption, because if you're going to sell me your children, then I'll adopt them into my family because you look horrible. I might as well take your children and have them be working my farm and my shepherding. But so there was a whole difficult, convoluted situation there where they were these tribes, and then pagans would come in and remember the pagans had a slave system. And the Jews or the Hebrews back then were sort of, let's take advantage of this. We need some help. They're cheap. So it was getting all mixed like that. And so they were trying to make these laws, and then God was obviously putting down some as well. But Moses and them create all these laws of compassion and sort of this and that, how it works out. So it was never forced slavery. It was all getting confused, and they were trying to figure that out. That's another thing that they criticize the Bible for. But the Bible is just trying to make it compassionate and not forced, because it was the economy back then. And the pagans, I noticed today, they had horrific mass slavery, forced slavery. The atheists, the pagans, whoever, Islam, they don't talk about that. They only talk about the written down, let's figure out how to make this decent and make it servants and not forced slavery in the Bible. All right. You should not bear false witness against your neighbor. God wants us not to lie about each other to get us killed. The intent of bearing false witness is to get somebody killed. Swatting is a perfect example today. The left is constantly swatting conservatives. They're calling us fascists, calling us white supremacists. They want to keep saying we're Nazis. Nazi stands for National Socialist German Workers' Party, which is a communist party. The whole fascism thing is just a freaking lie. It's a whole bull crap. They were communists, just like Islam and Marxists, just like Democrats are communists. Same thing. But they want to call us Nazis because they want people like Alex to go out with their gun and maybe shoot a few of us or kill Charlie Kirk. They want their minions and shills to lose it enough that they'll go out and kill. That's what bearing false witness is. So God doesn't want us to do that. He doesn't want us to lie about each other. The God that I worship, the God that created us, I believe in God created people to be evil, right? I believe that God created people to be evil, and the people that are evil say, that's not fair. Just because I steal and kill, that's not fair that you're saying I'm evil, that I was created this way, or I was created this way, so I'm just going to be that, and it's not fair that God's doing it. Okay, don't steal and don't kill, or don't murder rather. Don't murder, don't steal, and don't murder them. If you hate this whole God makes some good and some evil, then follow these 10 commandments. No. Okay. There you go. Don't support gays. Don't support murder of unborn. No. Okay. You got your answer. When you go before God, you got your answer already. Who you are. All right. One more. Oh, this is long. I guess I'll skip this. But 18 to 32, Romans 1 is the like the gays have the Gay Manifesto of 1987. This is like the manifesto of Christians. The gays have a manifesto, 1987, published in published in their newsletters. They used to print. It's recorded. It's submitted to Congress. It's official document, and the Republicans, did it and exposed them. But the Gay Manifesto of 1987 was about them giving blowjobs, fellatio, seducing Christian young boys. They're going to do it. They're going to go into the churches, the bus stop bathrooms. They're going to look anywhere they can as gays to give blowjobs to young boys to seduce them into shame and becoming gays. That was their manifesto. They're going to do that. It said a whole bunch of things, but they're gonna. Oh, and the person that wrote it said, "Oh, this is a make believe, frustrating thing." But let me go ahead and write it all out anyway. So we once fought that. We once exposed it and fought it, but today, and then they did that song. I remember a couple of years back. We're gonna get your children. They did that. They put it on YouTube, totally public. It's somewhere. We're gonna get your children, and they did it like a Disney song. And there was the gay men's chorus of San Francisco, and of course they deleted it, but too late. They exposed themselves again, as they always do in public bathrooms, that they're going after the children. So this might get me demonetized. I don't know. Gotta love them, because even with all that shame, and this is me thinking about my life of shame of sexual perversities, God is still gonna can forgive you, and give you the freedom from porn and freedom from that sort of sexual shame. Okay, the wrath of God is being revealed. Okay, I don't want to read this whole thing, just because I know this has been a long video, but basically he's talking about their evil, talking about them, and he really gets down to like evolution versus creation in this thing. You read it for yourself. God's wrath against sin. Romans 1:18-32. This really ties in with everything that's going on, and it talks about them being gay and they're being lesbian and even their women exchange natural relations for unnatural ones. Likewise, the men abandoned natural relations with women and burned with lust for one another. Men committed indecent acts with other men and received. Look at this. This is telling us who we're going to be today. Furthermore, they did not fit knowledge to give God. He gave them up to a depraved mind to do what ought not to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. I don't know, but I wonder if they're going to talk about purple hair in here. I don't know. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice. I'm being silly. They are gossips, slanderers, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, and boastful. They invent new forms of evil. They disobey their parents. They are senseless, faithless, heartless, merciless. Although they know God's righteous decree that those who did such things are worthy of death, they not only continue to do these things, but also approve of those who practice them. So, didn't get the purple hair in there, but everything here that you see, slanderers, gossips, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing Minneapolis. That's what they're doing on TikTok. They're arrogant, they're boastful. They invent new forms of evil. They disobey their parents, obviously. They are senseless, faithless, heartless, merciless. These are all the TikTok people. These are all the people that are criticizing ICE. These are all the Democrat shills, the minions. They're getting paid. They're making money doing this. And they're a depraved mind. And so what do you do about it? What's the solution? I'll give you the solution right now. Okay? I'll give you the solution. Yeah, I think most of you know this. Go to church. Build up your church. Make sure it's a good church. Make sure he preaches out of the... Oh, my Bible's by my bed now. I'm reading it. Make sure your preacher is doing this, and he's picking out a whole section or here, big part, and really going through it. And he's not talking about his own thing. He's talking about this, how to read it. Oh, and I'm reading Isaiah, the prophets. And it's really tough. I highly recommend. I got it in the bedroom, but I highly recommend doing the study guides. And here's what I found. I haven't done this yet. I've been reading it 4 or 5 times now. With the study, all of my Bibles are study Bibles, so they have at the bottom, they have anyways, at the bottom they have like this is just the Bible, but at the bottom in my study Bibles they'll have like explanations at the bottom on different verses, right? So when you read the prophets, I used to read a chapter so confused, and then read the explanations at the bottom about like historical context, what's going on there. But I've been recently now, let me read the bottom first, because then I get the historical context of what's going on. Then I read the prophecies. The prophets, and it makes more sense because I know what they're talking about now. So that I just recently, like a week ago, just started doing. I'm like, oh yeah, this makes way more sense now what they're talking about, because the prophets are all about talking about what's going on and all prophecies and all that stuff. Anyway, the solution is go to church, support your church, build up your pastor, make sure. There's a lot of false churches, false Christians, yes, but guess what says there's going to be a lot of false Christians and false churches. This does. Pretty amazing. Build up your church. Do you like fishing? Start a fishing club. What? Well, how's that going to help with all this evil? Start a role-playing game. I got this game, and I'm converting to D6 right now. I'm going to go back to work. I got to finish it. I'm almost done. I'm going to put that on Amazon. It's going to have a big D6 there. It's much easier than my D20. The D20 system's up there, and it's on Amazon. The game is good, but it's just harder because it's D20, and you got to be really hardcore. And even the hardcore veteran RPGs that I've gotten to explain this, it's been tough on them. So I gotta So I love it. It's a complete game, but I'm switching it to D6 just to simplify it down. because we all got lives. We're all busy. I wrote the D20 system because I was so obsessed back in the day. We used to read all the books, but now we don't. We kind of keep it simple. But anyway, go to church, do your smash burgers. We have an old kitchen, old stove there, like 1920s iron, like cast iron stove there. It's so awesome. I did smash burgers for a couple of different men's groups, small groups. It was 8 of us, 6 to 8 of us. It was like a miracle, like breaking bread kind of miracle, joyful thing for me to do that for them. So do that. And I even had a little hiccup with one of the members that I got to deal with, like his request for and I'm like, it's like I deal with that, like in the sense of growing in my patience and my, I gotta, you're gonna get a lot of little things going on at church, but that's good because it teaches you to be patient, teaches you to be charitable, teaches you to be more, interact. And so go to church, build up your church, build up a group, work at becoming a member, getting involved, hanging out there. This game helped me do that. It helped me realize, oh yeah, I gotta hang out at church. I gotta do things and work on it. Because the story, the role playing in it is about that. It's about evangelizing, church planning, and then supporting the church. The church is where you can go back to, and we need help. We have bandits over there, and we need you to help us. They're harassing the church members, and there's a family over there that wants to come to church, but they can't because there's bandits, or there's a beast out there that is people are afraid of, and the church is the source of where you get missions. And the GM, you can create missions through the church, and then they need, or they can, we need food. We need you to go find us some food, and or we're broke. We need wealth. Well, we're gonna go fight the dungeon and get some gold and bring it back for the church. And then when you do that, then they get glory points, to experience points. So that's the way I was doing the game, and I'm like, after 2 years of doing that, I'm like, dang, I want to go get some glory points. I want to go. I can start an adventure, and that's what I'm doing at church. It's like an adventure now. It's very exciting. I'm kind of like, I've never been excited about church in that sense. Like, I've never really been excited. I go to Sunday and can I volunteer here or do that? But now it's like, like I did these I did this tracks for them. I was like, oh, I want to make a track for you guys because we're handing out tracks. I'm like, I was looking at the tracks they have there. They got them just off the internet and just printed them. I'm like, well, I'm gonna make one, and and actually he's supposed to email me. The pastor's supposed to email me because he wants to have at least one John 3:16 or something in there, and I was fine with that. I did a very simple. I didn't do any Bible verses in here. I did like just an explanation of our basic faith. Because I think we're in a there's a phrase there in Acts. We're not in the Jewish Acts. We're in the Greek Gentiles Acts, where they don't know anything about God Jesus died on the cross for our sins is not something they understand. So I wrote something a little more. Why do we go to Jesus? It's kind of more philosophical, which some Christians don't like. But we're in the Greek Acts. We're not in the Jewish Acts. And I also made these bookmarks, for them, fun little, with the church on there. Cool bookmark, and with just a fun little AI graphics there. I'll show it. Focus. Anyway, so if you want these, just email me or message me, and I'll send you the graphics, and you can just put your own church on there or whatever. But it's pretty basic. Okay. Game of life, everybody. At the very end here, I'm not going to do glory points for you. If you went this far, maybe I will. I've been meaning to do that in the middle of the video so that you won't just people won't just go back to the very end of the video and look for the glory point thing. I'm trying to think. I know. I'll give you 3 glory points. But you got to go to the middle of the video or if you've gone this far, let me think. What's the scene in the movie that just vaguely, what is it that I had there? Okay, 3 glory points if you can mention that. All right, and the game of life, everybody. Oh no, then you're just gonna scroll back. Just whatever. All right, glory point. And the game of life, everybody. Roll. Go to church. Do something at church. It's an adventure. Create a fellowship, and grow the group, and then take that group as a game or fishing club or hunting club or hiking club, and as you guys grow together in the fellowship, iron sharpening iron, then you go out to the world with it. You go out and casually do things. You know, I hope, kind of my goal is, as the game group, is to start a game, we get comfortable playing the game, and then we want to take it, we want to go to conventions and play the game there, and you know, whatever, do a booth, or you know, but that's whatever, but something like that. Or it's a game that we have fun at church, and then we just can invite people to come and get a couple of game groups going, you know, game tables, and just invite people, and they realize, oh, I can hang out at church and have insta friends and insta community and insta help and insta help others, and but you know, with our love of Jesus. Yeah. All right, game of life, roll holy dice. Oh, and then that builds up to the community and spreads us out, and we fight the Democrats and all their evil, etc., etc. Okay.